Thank you for joining me for today's episode of the Simply Financial Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Calandra. Today's episode is going to be a discussion on 401k accounts and balances. This is sort of a nice pairing with the recent episode I did called Starting Planning Now. It's season 8, episode 37. And that episode talked about some research from Morningstar, the investment research company. And one of the main headlines of that was Morningstar found that 45% of households that retire are expected to fall short of money during their lifetime. So that's not a good outcome. So take a listen to that episode if you haven't done so already. Again, this sort of pairs nicely with that. This information, this research comes from Vanguard, the massive and very successful investment management company, because they analyze data from millions of U.S. retirement accounts and found that in 2024, the average 401k balance was $134,128. All right, so at first glance, that's not a real impressive number. But when you look deeper, the research that Vanguard put out broke it down by age category. And so the average 401k account balance, if you're under 25, is $7,300 or so. That makes sense, right? You're just starting, probably not making a lot of money, probably not putting a lot of money in, but that's the average account balance. And then when you go to 25 to 34 age band, that jumps up to $27,557. Then the next band is age 35 to 44. It jumps again to $91,000 or so, average account balance in the 401k. Then you break six figures when you get to the band of age 45 to 54, 168, almost $169,000 average account balance. And then moving along from 55 to 64, that age band, the average account balance is almost $245,000. And then at 65 plus, it's $272,500. So this all makes sense, right? The older you get, the more you have in the retirement account. These are averages, of course. There's exceptions to this rule, but you have longer time in the investments. You get the benefit of compound interest for longer. You have more years of contributions, not just your own contributions, but likely and hopefully employer contributions too. So people that are getting set to retire in that 65 age band have an average account balance of $272,000. I don't think that's a great number, but not too bad either, just sort of judging the book by its cover. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you are ahead of these numbers. Find your age band and figure out if you're ahead of that. Hopefully you are. That would be a sign that you are winning with money and are planning for a successful retirement. If you heard these numbers and you feel like you are far off, maybe you could look at ways that you could improve what you're doing. The team here at Elliott Wealth Management, my team and I, we can help you, and we would love to do so. You could go to our website, elliottwealth.com. You could sign up for a complimentary consultation because we would like to help you win with money also. Let me point out that there's some other research from Vanguard, sort of related, and this is information from 2023, which was the last year data was available. What they found was in 2023, a record number of Americans took early withdrawals out of their 401ks. If you know anything about retirement accounts and 401ks, you probably know that there are some rules imposed by the IRS. They don't want you to take money out prior to, generally speaking, age 59 and a half. If you take money out early, generally speaking, you'll pay a penalty, plus you might have some tax implications. So early withdrawals means that the people were not retirement age, as defined as 59 and a half in this example. So a record number of Americans in 2023 took early withdrawals. So that's not really a good sign. And the Vanguard research shows that the number of Americans taking money out of their retirement accounts has been growing. So in 2021, 2.1% of Americans took early withdrawals from their 401k. All right, that number is not too scary. 2% of people had trouble, happens. That jumped up to 2.8% in 2022, and then grew again in 2023 to 3.6%, which is the longest, if not ever, in a long time. So you have that increasing, which I think speaks to some of the things we've talked about on the show, where Americans feel angst about the economy and are in a sour mood, feel like we're in a recession. And I think this is another indication of that feeling and experience amongst many Americans. And more alarming than the 3.6%, which again is not that scary of a number, is that 40% of those who took money out of retirement accounts early, took early withdrawals, did so to avoid foreclosure. 40%. That surprised me a lot. Because we haven't been in a real estate market where there's a lot of foreclosures. Prices of homes have been going up quite a bit since 2000. So that really surprised me quite a bit. But that's the research that Vanguard put out. I wanted to share with you. Again, take a look at your retirement nest egg if you haven't done so recently. Kind of evaluate where you are. There's some good tools online. As I said a few moments ago, the team here at Elliott Wealth can help. Kind of see where you are, regardless of age. Forecast if you're on track, if you're making good decisions, if there are areas of improvement. Maybe you know what you need to do, or maybe you're not sure, and that's where we can help. So I wanted to share this information with you. I will be back with you on the next episode of the Simply Financial podcast very soon. Thanks again for listening.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of Osaic Wealth, Inc., and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Please note, the information being provided is strictly as a courtesy. When you link to any of the websites provided here, you are leaving this website. We make no representation as to the completeness or accuracy of information provided at these websites. Nor is the company liable for any direct or indirect technical or system issues or any consequences arising out of your access to or your use of third-party technologies, websites, information, and programs made available through this website. When you access one of these websites, you are leaving our website and assume total responsibility and risk for your use of the websites you are linking to. Securities and advisory services are offered through Osaic Wealth, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Insurance services offered through Elliott Wealth Management Services, LLC, not affiliated with Osaic Wealth, Inc.